Here are some important things that you should understand before you sign a separation agreement presented to you by your employer. The first thing to understand is that your employer is never going to present you with a negotiated separation agreement out of the kindness of their heart. If they are seeking to pay you to leave your position, it is because they are trying to protect themselves in some way. They recognize that they have some type of liability exposure, and it is their desire to buy that exposure back from you by giving you an agreement where they pay you to agree, usually not to sue them, and not to be able to take almost any other type of legal action against them. So if they're offering to pay you and ask you to sign something, you should make sure that you read it carefully and that you understand it before you even think about signing. The other thing that you should understand and expect is that any agreement that is put in front of you by your employer where they're offering to pay you to leave your position is going to be written in terms that are completely in the favor of your employer. So it's very important for you to understand, have a general understanding of the terms that are in the agreement before you sign anything. The third tip that I want to make sure that you understand is, even if the amount that they're offering to pay you seems like a lot to you, maybe it's the most money you've ever seen in your life, you should still negotiate. Never accept the first offer. Always negotiate. Unless you are being offered a separation in connection with a mass layoff, it's very likely that you have negotiating room if you exercise it. Now, I want to give a caveat about why I said unless it's related to a mass layoff. Because generally when there's a mass layoff, your employer is unlikely to agree to different terms because they're putting the same terms in front of hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people. So in that case, you might want to seek legal advice before you go to them asking for changes in terms. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask and that you might not get it, but it's usually harder to negotiate if you're part of a group than when you are an individual and your employer is trying to pay you to leave based on wrongdoing that they have engaged in that has nothing to do with financial problems or issues, which is usually the underlying reason for mass layoffs. And the last thing I want to say is never ever sign a separation agreement without getting advice and having someone look at it that has legal and or HR expertise, primarily employment, law experience, and or HR expertise. It is very important that you understand all the terms that are in your agreement, and unless you are a person trained in this area, you probably won't. So a lot of times you, as the employee, is going to be very focused on the dollar amount that they're offering to give to you. And a lot of people make a big mistake of signing on the dotted line just because the money looks good to them. But as I said before, no matter how good the money looks, negotiate. And also make sure that you are covered relevant to the other provisions inside of the agreement. And the only way you can be sure you're covered is to have someone with that expertise to review it for you. One of the things that you can do to be a more educated employee and to better understand terms that are presented in standard separation agreements is to grab a copy of my separation agreement checklist, which is on sale during the holiday season, and you can find it on my website, which is linked in the description to this video. It is very important that you be an educated employee so that if and when you are ever presented with a separation agreement, you negotiate and address it in ways that looks out for your interests, not just your employer. I hope this video is helpful. This is Anne Marie, the anti-HR HR lady. HR is not your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.